डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी.
Namaskar and greetings of the day to all the students watching this video. I, Twinkle Chandarana, Assistant Professor English, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University, welcome all of you in today's lecture. Well friends, today we are going to discuss an interesting poem titled as La Bella Damson's Mercy, written by John Keats. The components of this video lecture are the brief summary of the poem, the historical context of the poem, the structure and form, and the themes as discussed in this poem, and the check your progress questions and references and web resources for your further help. Let us begin with the discussion on this poem by its brief summary and analysis. La Bella Damson's Mercy is a ballad, a medieval genre revived by the Romantic poets. Keats uses the so-called ballad stanza, a quatrain in alternating iambic tetrameter and trimeter lines. The shortening of the fourth line in each stanza of Keats' poem makes the stanza seem a self-contained unit, gives the ballad a deliberate and slow movement, and is pleasing to the ear. Keats uses a number of the stylistic characteristics of the ballad, such as simplicity of language, repetition and absence of details, like some of the old ballads, and it deals with the supernatural. Keats' economical manner of telling a story in La Bella Damson's Mercy is the direct opposite of his lavish manner in the Eve of St. Agnes. Part of the fascination exerted by the poem comes from Keats' use of understatement. The first three stanzas introduce the unidentified speaker and the night. The speaker comes across the night wandering around in the dead of winter when the sedge has withered from the lake and no birds sing. In this way, Keats depicts a barren and bleak landscape. The knight responds to the speaker, telling him how he met a lady in the meadows who was a beautiful girl, full beautiful, a fairy's child. Here Keats' language sweetens. The first three stanzas were bitter and devoid of emotion, but the introduction of the lady in the midst produces softness in the language of the knight. He reminisces on the lady's beauty and her apparent innocence, her long hair, light feet and wild eyes, and on her otherworldliness as well. Moreover, he describes his sweet memories of the lady, feeding each other, giving her presents, traveling with her, and being together. And in the eighth stanza, the lady weeps, for she knows that they cannot be together, as she is a fairy and he is a mortal. She lulls him to sleep, out of which he does not immediately wake. In his dream, the knight sees pale people like kings, princes, and warriors. They tell him that he has been enthralled by the woman without mercy. He wakes up from the nightmare alone on the cold hillside and tells the persona. That is why he stays there, wandering, looking for the lady. The last stanza leaves the fate of the knight ambiguous. Keats' ballad La Bella Damson's Mercy describes the short encounter between a knight and a fairy lady. The title of the poem is interesting as it is not Keats' own invention. He adopted the title of Alan Charter's French courtly poem, La Bella Damson's Mercy. In French, the phrase means a beautiful lady without mercy. Readers can see the variation of the words mercy and merci. It seems that Keats went with the French spelling of the word. Alain Chartier wrote that poem presumably in 1424, and the poem consists of 100 stanzas, whereas Keats' poem is comparably short and does not allow Chartier's octosyllabic line pattern. Apart from that, as the poet chose directly a French phrase, the title also follows the French pronunciation. Keats sets his simple story of love and death in a bleak, wintry landscape that is appropriate to it. The sedge has withered from the lake and no birds sing. The repetition of these two lines with minor variations as the concluding lines of the poem emphasizes the fate of the unfortunate knight and neatly encloses the poem in a frame by bringing it back to its beginning. In keeping with the ballad tradition, Keats does not identify his questioner or the knight or the destructively beautiful lady. What Keats does not include in his poem contributes as much to it in arousing the reader's imagination as what he puts into it. La Bella Damson's Mercy, the beautiful lady without pity, is a female fatal, a Circe-like figure who attracts lovers only to destroy them by her supernatural powers. She destroys because it is nature to destroy. Keats could have found patterns for his fairy's child in folk mythology, classical literature, Renaissance poetry, or the medieval ballad. With a few skillful touches, he creates a woman who is at once beautiful, erotically attractive, fascinating, and deadly. Some readers see the poem as Keats' personal rebellion against the pains of love. In his letters and in some of his poems, he reveals that he did experience the pains as well as the pleasures of love, and that he resented the pains, particularly the loss of freedom that came with falling in love. However, the ballad is a very objective form, and it may be best to read La Bella Damson's Mercy as pure story and no more. How Keats felt about his love for Fanny Brown we can discover in the several poems he addressed to her as well as in his letters. Friends, let us now discuss the historical context of this poem. Keats wrote this poem in the summer of year 1819 when he was dying from tuberculosis. Then he was in Wentworth Palace, the home of his friend Charles Brown. Their neighbors at Wentworth Palace were Fanny Brown and her mother, and because they lived in the other half of the palace, they saw each other daily. After a while, he fell in love with Fanny Brown, though being poor, he could not marry her. He had already seen his mother and brother die from this terrible disease before he contracted it to himself. The knowledge of his imminent death likely inspired this poem. While his mother died in the year 1810, he contracted the same disease in the year 1819. He had seen the effect that the disease had on his mother and his brother, and he knew what was to come for himself. Even more tragic than his contraction of TB is that he was newly engaged and desperately in love. He claimed that he could not bear to die, but he could not bear to live his love. It is not difficult to make a connection between this poem and Keats' personal life. Although he does not appear to view his real life love as the cause of his death, there remains striking parallels. Both the knight in this poem and John Keats himself fell in love shortly before death. Both were unable to enjoy love for very long before death became imminent in their lives. This was about the analysis and historical context. Let us now discuss the structure and form of this poem. La Bella Damson's Mercy is after the form of the lyrical ballad. Many well-known poets of the Romantic era used this form in their written works. This particular ballad has a meter and rhyme scheme that produces a flow that engages the reader. The poem is written in iambic tetrameter, which simply means that the stress falls on 4 words per line. The effect of this scheme is that it flows like a song, smoothly and along with a proper rhythm. Thus, it is called a lyrical ballad. The rhyme and rhythm are all designed to lure the reader in, just as the knight in the poem was lured by the beauty of the fairy child, of the beautiful fairy woman. Keats wrote this in an outdated form of poetry that capitalizes on simple language and imagery to bring across its story. By utilizing the ballad form, it lends the poem an air of timelessness and an almost novelistic approach to imagery. Even the story itself is evocative of the ballad tradition. Ballads were used as entertainment, and their length was supposed to keep listeners engaged, as the ballad was a form of old poetry. Friends, let us now discuss briefly the tone and mood of this poem. The tone and mood of this poem are also designed to help the readers to identify with John Keats' feelings as he neared the end of his life. One could argue that the knight in this poem is Keats himself. Although there are some differences between his life and the knight's story, there are certainly plenty of similarities that would suggest that he uses the knight as a speaker to proclaim to the world just what he feels as he neared his untimely death. Let us now discuss the themes of this poem, friends. La Belle Damson's Mercy contains several themes such as dejection in love, heartbreak, sadness, death, and illusion versus reality. The most important theme of the poem is dejection in love. There is a sense of separation in the knights that makes him appear lifeless. His loitering in the wild without any hope depicts the need for love in his life. The lady's illusory existence makes him sadder about his reality. The person with whom he had spent some time does not exist at all. This thought pains the knight deeply. Apart from that, the themes of sadness and heartbreak go hand in hand in the poem. The knight's mental condition is so sad that the poet thinks even nature laments his loss. It is not fallacious to think that the theme of death is also an integral part of the poem. While writing this poem, the poet was going through a similar kind of condition. It seems that through the story of the knight, the poet somehow tried to express his own feelings. He knew about his approaching death and also was aware of the fact that unison with his beloved was not possible. As being close to entering the gate of death, the poet's mind was flooded with the thoughts of oblivion. The first two stanzas reflect not only the knight's but also the poet's state of mind. In the 10th stanza, the theme of death is visible. Here the dead kings and princes remind the knight that the lady, without pity, captivated his mind, and hence it's useless to wait any longer for her. The first theme is that of the supernatural. This poem deals with supernatural elements. The woman that the knight falls in love with is described as a fairy child. A fairy is a mythical, supernatural being. Thus, by describing the woman as a fairy's child, Keats brings out the theme of supernatural beings in this poem. Moreover, when the knight describes the time he spent with the woman, he states that she gave him wild food, thereby bringing out the airiness of this woman. And in the end, the knight finds himself on a cold hillside along with other men who were wrapped in the same woman's spell. When they saw the knight, they exclaimed that La Belle Dame sends mercy, to mean you have met a beautiful lady without mercy. Through the setting and the description of the woman, Keats brings out the supernatural element in this poem. The second theme is of seduction in the poem. La Belle Dame sends mercy can also be approached through the tensions between love and seduction and the ideal chivalrous partnership. When we first meet the knight, he still has a lily upon his brow, signifying his loyalty, the courtly tradition. However, as the color quickly drains from his cheeks, he becomes vulnerable to the woman's charms. With his defenses lowered, he quickly succumbs to his desires. Here, love is immediately associated with fantasy and the supernatural. They make love in the meadows, ride away on the knight's horse, and then the woman expresses her love for him in her own strange language, suggesting that her words are closer to a magical spell than the truth. Does the knight, weak and weary in the forest, give in so quickly to the woman because of her supernatural charm, or because he longs for a love that falls outside of the strict courtly restraints? While the poem explores the pleasures of liberation, it ends cautiously. His love for the woman is briefly requited, but the satisfaction is short-lived. She leaves him the way she found him, alone and palely loitering among the hillside. And the third theme of the poem is the femme fatale. The theme of femme fatale was popular among the Romantic poets. The femme fatale is a seductive, beautiful woman who charms and ensnares men, leading them into dangerous situations. The poem clearly depicts the theme of the femme fatale as the woman, described as a supernatural being, as a fairy child, makes the knight fall deeply in love with her, which later leads to his detroition. Moreover, in the end of the poem, it is revealed that the speaker was not the only man to be ensnared by this woman. The dialogue spoken by the pale lovers, "Thee hath enthralled," further highlights the theme of the female fatale. Friends, let us discuss the questions for Check Your Progress. The first question is, describe the poem La Belle Dame sends mercy as an example of ballad form. Evaluate the historical context of this poem. And the second question is, what is the structure and form of this poem, and what are the themes as depicted in this poem? The web resources which might be useful to you are poemanalysis.com, oldcation.com, and interestingliterature.com. Dear friends, this was a brief overview of the poem La Belle Dame sends mercy by Keats. I hope that you would have understood the essence and the topics covered in this lecture. Thank you for watching, dear friends.
स्वाध्यायः